series. So this is just a straight up no frills open mode. 7 out of 7 crystals, defeat Ganon, and randomized swords. No shenanigans here.
Based off rupee count, I would say that Kakariko was loaded with money, I also saw bombos and a hammer and a bug net on Klariodon's pause screen.
All right, so Kakariko, more like Stackariko. That's an unfortunate death in Mini Moldorm Cave.
Klariodon had to utilize close-range combat due to running out of bombs, and unfortunately, just didn't get there. And we also have a Cane of Berna on Zeitnix's side.
Interesting. Klariodon stream having a little bit of difficulty here. Looks like we're going to get an uncle check from Klariodon. Or not? I mean, he's doing it. It's just the stream's being a little choppy. Bear with us.
Art container. That will help.
All right. And what else are we going to see here? Little piece of love. Not seeing too much in the way of items here in the front part of Escape so far.
But we do have a good tree full. 4 packs of bombs. Nice.
Yeah. If it weren't for the fact that Kakariko is probably already done, judging off the rupee counts, that would be an amazing tree pull. I mean, it still kind of is, but it's just not quite as useful to our runners as it would have been at the start of the seed.
And Zeitnix is going for the 2-pot strat on the ball and chain guard, which is a valid strat. Ooh, that is a nice luxury item in half magic. I mean, it's not a necessity for the seed, but in terms of luxury, that's a plus. A big plus. Because now you, for example, you got enough magic to defeat blind with the Cane of Berna.
Exactly. And, you know, Cane of half magic also helps if you're doing Silverless Ganon or Trinex. Not that I would know anything about that.
Well, I would, and I can tell you Silverless Master Sword Ganon without half magic pretty much mandates getting Torch Glitch unless you've got bottles.
All right. So, looks like we're just kind of seeing some duplicate checks here. Klariodon doing the front half of Escape, and Zeitnix doing the Dam. Gonna be receiving his Moon Pearl shortly.
Which, based off what I'm seeing, according to Tracker, that would be Dark World access. I'll confirm on pause. Oh, map check, and we got 5-6 crystals in the Light World at Eastern and Desert with a Pendant Hera.
Okay, I was mistaken, so good thing you cut me off there. I was about to say, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw a crystal on Hera as well, but I was indeed mistaken.
So depending on how the item layout happens, we could get a Pyramid Fairy early or late in the dark game. But Klariodon, meanwhile, is taking a Death Warp, going to try for Dark Cross without a lamp. This is not in logic, but it can pay off. And
especially with the change to Darkroom logic in V31.
So let's see what Klariodon missed out on by that death in Mini Moldorm Cave, and well, outside of a couple of pieces of heart, nothing of importance. Still, would have been nice to get that in. Ah well.
Right. Klariodon hammering snakes like his life depends on it, because it kind of does. He's down to 1 heart.
Yeah, there's
have to be super careful here.
Yeah, this might be time for Cane of Berna, if he has it.
Yeah,
trying to find
Tracker
the chest. Can't see if he's got it or not. Not sure of his positioning, admittedly.
Yep. Checks his map.
That might have been an accident because I've done
Yeah.
that at least a couple times per seed.
And takes a death. Unfortunate.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to do without a sword.
Our restreamer, our restreamer is assisting us in looking back at what we missed while the tech issues were being sorted out. Lumberjack is 50 rupees. So Aghanim 1 not in play for that reason, and judging by the tracker, again, judging from the tracking information we have, not going to be important for Dark World access either.
Klariodon going for the back of escape, the direct way, which means they also have glove.
Hammer apparently on in the Lost Woods. And Green Pendant is going to be Thieves Town.
It's not
Pendant Thieves.
Yeah, that's not an atrociously terrible place for Green Pendant, because that gives you, and with being able to fully clear the dungeon, you get 4 checks, and Green Pendant gives you a free 5.
Yep, and that was the water toes in Saha's closet. Apparently, Saha used to be a scuba diver in a past life.
So now we are getting some flipper checks here.
Yep.
Now Island's going to be left behind.
Yep.
Ooh, Klariodon dies again in Mini Moldorm. That is a tough break.
Yeah, Klariodon not having a good time in Mini Moldorm Cave today. Flipper's not paying out so far.
They might not pay out at all, except for maybe accessing Ice Palace or being part of what's needed for Swamp. We don't know that yet.
Right.
So
at least one of those is going to be required, because we do know where 2 out of the 3 pendants are.
Yeah, so we know it's required for sure. Now, a Canaburna in a chicken coop. Well, there's our first sword in a bottle. I was about to say that I'm wondering if the Goose was going from Untitled Goose Game did that.
Also, interesting note, the Waterfall Fairy is giving out fairies. So that's a nice little pull, nice little safety.
Yeah, I'm not gonna knock that. I mean, the only time that could come back to haunt you is in a death warp situation, but in terms of freebies, where if you're having trouble taking deaths, fairy's actually pretty good. Surprised Zeitnix isn't taking the swimming route, but that's okay. Question is, what's the scam?
Oof.
Overpriced arrows.
I mean, at least it was a 10-pack, so, you know, instead of the single solitary arrow of it done goofed. We did see Half Magic and Zelda's Cell, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Zeitnix now going to go check back of escape for himself. And looks like we now have all of the missing information, so we can continue onwards and upwards. All right, so now Klariodon, I believe, is going to go ahead and go to Dark World here.
Looks like we're going to get a second attempt at Dark Cross this race.
And we'll be able to more accurately know what's going on because the audio is currently on Zeitnix, and he has a sword, which makes it easier to kind of get your bearings in dark rooms. Oh yeah, he came from the north, that's right. I was like, why is he walking in water right now?
Based off Klariodon's routing, I don't think they went this way earlier. No, I don't think we saw anybody grab the gloves out of there.
Nope, we did not actually see that, so good catch from our restreamer. Our tracker rightfully pointing out with how much trouble they were having in Light World Mini Moldorm Cave. Klariodon might just be a little gun-shy about going to Dark World, where everything is more dangerous. But then again, they're running out of other options to take, so...
Well, the only other options really is the Agena one-off.
Yep, and then I don't think...
going into Eastern.
Right, I was about to say, I don't think either runner has gone into Eastern yet. Oop. Klariodon's internet seems to be having a little bit of trouble. Bear with us. Gonna be seeing the artist sometimes known as Hype Cave from Zeitnix here, I believe.
Yep.
And there's our map check.
Well, we might not need Ice Rod today, as the other pendant is Turtle.
Oh, and another death in Skull Woods.
Nah, this one might look to be more of an intentional death.
Oh yeah, to refill
just
health.
to get some health back.
Meanwhile, what kind of cave do we got? Blue mail and 20 rupees, a heart container, the mushroom, and ether. You know what? That's fairly hype. We'll give that a good solid 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's middle of the road hype, but you know what? It's better than what it usually is, which is not.
I'll take blue mail any day of the week.
I heard that, but you might want to watch out. Those Gibdos hit for 2 hearts. But just like in Zelda 1, Gibdo hugs are 100% lethal.
Oh, that's right. Klariodon doesn't have a sword. I was wondering why they weren't bombosing, but Klariodon has not gotten their sword yet, so... Because sword was Waterfall Fairy, and Klariodon has not fake flippered and has not gotten their flippers from wherever they were at. I've already forgotten.
Sahasrala's Closet.
Ah. Right, next with the pyramid ledge check here. All right. Thank you to our restreamer for filling in the blanks on the important items we missed during the tech delay.
And that's just 3 bombs on the pyramid ledge, nothing of importance.
Zeitnix thought about sticking around for a second and then decided to save and quit. Meanwhile, Klariodon continuing to play ring around the Gibdos.
Getting a small key out of the pot prison chest. And a second one, that doesn't always happen in Skull Woods. Especially with how the key logic is.
And this is gonna be some entertaining. Cue up the yakety sax. Not bad. Wow. All right. There's the Titan's Pits in Skull Woods. Hello.
Hello, indeed. That is a massive pun. Now, here's the scary thing for our runners: as Zeitnix gets magic powder from Sick Kid, that puts Ice Palace in full logic. All Klariodon needs is the flippers and the sword. Although I will say that's more for those who are more for the bold and the crazy, because in all honesty,
Yeah,
Fighter Sword Cold Stare is not a fun fight at
it is
all. And that
not.
comes from someone who has done that. Well, now, isn't this a twist? The powder into the shovel. Now, we already have the mushrooms, so that part's out. Could that shovel lead to the book somehow?
Well, I just have one
Because
question
we
to
got
ask. Do you want to do a fetch quest?
or two. The last time I had a back-to-back fetch quest situation, ooh, there's Klariodon's first sword, meaning that'll be Master Sword for Zeitnix, and the other sword Zeitnix got will be Master Sword for Klariodon, if that makes sense.
Carry the 3. Yeah, math checks out. Uh, and there's the flute in the C-shaped house. So, Village of Outcasts has been fairly stacked on the majority of our races today. It wasn't much in my race, but in the first race of this triple header, we've found ourselves in. Village of Outcasts was had like the bow and one other important item in it that I'm blanking on. This is what happens when you try to do too many seeds in one day.
Yeah, you forget about details like that, which is why I try to not do too many myself.
All right, Klariodon making the play into Pendant Thieves Town. Not whoop.
Horsehead got him.
Yep. Not anything of note so far. We'll see if that death dissuades them from continuing. It does not.
It was an early enough death where that wasn't going to be a big deal, as Zeitnix gets their Master Sword. There's the big key, as Zeitnix gets the flute. Now for the fourth chest, we get
The book!
of Medora. Now that opens up desert, but more importantly is we get a chance to see if there's potentially anything of value at pedestal. Now, for this seed, that's going to be quite limited, but the bow is definitely a possibility here.
Oof.
The hook shot and the mirror are also possibilities, but it can be only one or the other, because one blocks the other.
I will say it allows us to get into desert, but we can't currently clear desert in logic yet. We do still need a fire source. Which we have not found yet. Klariodon continuing the play into never mind. They just took a fireball to the face.
Yep, the fire snake cut him off in Hellway.
Pressing
Still
on.
sticking with it.
Gotta admire the stick-to-itiveness. I'd feel a little better about this if this was a crystal. I'm not gonna lie. Because they do have some other options available to them at the moment.
True that. I think my last race, I died right there in Hellway and in a Pendant Thieves Town, and I just backed right out, and I think I saved myself some time and aggravation. And I didn't need to continue there. So, sometimes those things happen when they work out, other times they don't. we'll see how this works out for both our runners.
I'm 99% positive you did not miss Mark, Blastig. I do believe Zeitnix has 2 bottles at the moment. Now, where that first bottle was, I don't know, but...
Yeah, one was Fountain.
I could just be misremembering. It's been a mishmash, so a lot of chaos. So I wouldn't be surprised if something got caught up in said chaos. Yeah, Klariodon's multi-deaths.
Oh man, it was dark cross for that. As for what happened to Klariodon just now, that is an absolutely horrible place to take a death on your way to destroying the floor. I can tell you, as someone who has lost an NMG run, in that area for that reason, yeah, that does not feel good at all.
No, I imagine it wouldn't. Well, I don't have to imagine because I've done it many times before. But that is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Klariodon gonna go do some digging to let off some stress. 2 digs for 10 arrows. Well, I mean, at least if the item's gonna be useless, you let us get it in a minimum amount of digs. Appreciated, game. Meanwhile, Zeitnix, I believe, is just going to go ahead and claim the green pendant here, which is not a bad play considering he has not had nearly as many issues clearing out this dungeon as Klariodon has.
Klariodon does have the blacksmith to start.
And we're going to see Stumpy and, I would assume, Hype Cave. What is going to be the first crystal, indeed? Myths were in Skull Woods, that's correct. And honestly, I'm gonna say I'm kind of feeling Skull Woods as the first crystal because it's really well, no, because we just need bow for Palace of Darkness.
But we need Fire Rod to finish Skullwood, so if Fire Rod happens to be in Ice Palace or in Misery Mire, or any place behind where the Titans myths are, as Blonde was holding 50 rupees, as Zeitnix claims a green pendant, then you'd have a required Skullwoods double dip, which, as far as double dips go for this game, it's not too bad. It's when you start talking like Pod or other dungeons that you have to double dip, and then yeah, it gets kind of gross.
Yeah. Alright, so I do believe Zeitnix now is going to do most of the same checks that Klariodon is in the middle of completing. Gonna bring Jeremiah back home, and then we do have the hammer, so probably Peg Cave and Purple Chest.
Zeitnix is done with that.
Oh, and also, we have a flute to activate. So everybody please rise for the national anthem of Hyrule.
Or, in the case of Untitled Goose Game, honk, 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 honk.
Yep, the goose is indeed loose. Plastic pointing out that Stumpy was skipped by I'm assuming Zeitnix.
But for both players, the goose is loose. So yeah, time to do a lot of honking. And speaking of, there was quite a bit of that at the Game Awards last night. That segment was definitely one to go back and watch because I
Yeah.
found that to be that was literally comedy gold for me.
Yeah, no, not to get too snarky about it, but that was probably one of the best parts of that event last night.
You're not the only one who's saying that, as we are now on Death Mountain. Now, we're not able to do the whole mountain. We don't have mirror or hook shot, but we can still get a couple of checks in. And yes, Spike Cave is in logic with our item setup. Klariodon, on the other hand, putting the moves on to avoid the murder dactyl.
Well, ooh, that was close.
Yeah, was that Ether to get into Mire or Bombos? I couldn't tell.
Tracker seems to believe Ether. Meyer shed, couple pieces of love from the looks of it. Zeitnix completing the Dark Old Man rescue. And there's Fire Shield. Chat, he's just a boy saying Bombos or Ether. So Tracker has marked Ether for now. We'll see if we can get another look at it here later. I mean, we will have to see it in more detail eventually because Meyer is one of our crystals today. And here comes the Agena check. Did not quite catch what was on top of Spectacle Rock.
Piece of heart.
And inside Spectacle Rock is 20 rupees.
And Agena had a piece of heart.
All right. So, Desert Play incoming from Klariodon, I do believe. Zeitnix is gonna go see what that shovel is gonna bring him.
No preview of what's on the ledge, so Klariodon might be doing that on exit.
Oh, red meringue on the dig spot.
Well, not the worst thing you could dig up, admittedly, because that does allow you to stun enemies for a stun prize. And it could, that stun prize, we don't know, could be something good, it could be something not so good.
All right, so compass in that small chest there. So we are boots locked. But how boots locked are we? We are not going to find out.
Other than knowing that we need them one way or another. Can't say I blame Klariodon for that. But now we get to see Desert Ledge. Or we get to see it ahead of time on Zeitnix's side, only to find that Klariodon's gonna be disappointed because it's only 10 arrows. Looks like we got some key larceny going on. The logic doesn't expect you to do this, by the way.
How long has it been since Klariodon save and quit?
Pretty sure it was recent. Now, I know
I'm just trying to figure out if you... Go ahead.
Yeah, like older Yeah, this is gonna lead to the big key because that's a small key on the torch, which Klariodon doesn't know about. However, once the boots are found, Klariodon's gonna have to take that key to finish the dungeon.
Well, the reason why I was asking was I was figuring maybe Klariodon was going to see what this is and then save scum. Like, just straight reset.
No, he's not gonna have to do that.
Gonna take a death warp here to refill his health. Although, honestly, at this rate, it might have been faster to just run back.
Yeah, with how much health had to be lost, I would have just kept right on moving. That's just me. We're about to get a green pendant check on Zeitnix's side. What's this? Heart container, not required.
Alright. And big chest with just a big 20 in desert.
So now Klariodon gets the back.
Chat helpfully pointing out that is a bit of a long walk for a duck. True. And now we're getting the eastern play from Zeitnix here.
And leading off's the big key. That's a great start if you're in go mode, but when you're... Well, it's a great start, period.
Yeah. Especially in the situation we find ourselves in at the moment where we do not have a lamp, so the chest behind the dark room is not in logic. It does open up the possibility for all three items to be before that dark room. Klariodon finally getting his flippers. So hopefully he'll head up to Zora shortly and get his Master Sword and bottle.
Would be a bottle worth putting a potion in.
Yeah.
Because that would complete it. Because right now, Ice Palace is in logic. The question is, does Klariodon make the move, or does he just go Eastern and pot? Ooh, there's the hook shot. That might tempt our runners to Death Mountain.
I would not blame them in the slightest. There's a 20 rupees. Right, we're gonna see one of the easier dark rooms in the game, and we're gonna see what's in the last chest in the front half of Eastern Palace.
No, we're not.
Tracker pointing out, yes, we did find all three items.
Yeah, so that was a perfect setup for looking at Eastern without having the lamp, or the bow for that matter. That's a really good Eastern.
All right. And yep, immediately gonna take that hook shot and go see what's happening on East Death Mountain.
And more importantly, you can also look at Hera. You can get Ether Tablet out of the way. So yeah, there's a lot of checks up here that can be done right now, and one of them at least has to pay off for something, you would think.
And here's actually a food for thought as well. Klariodon has the Titans, which means once Klariodon does all the light side checks, it will be able to go dark side and check dark side Death Mountain as well. Now, granted, it's a little awkward without the mirror, but that is an option available. Meanwhile, light side Death Mountain starts off strong with the cape in the bottom part of Paradox Cave.
Well, we don't know what's on Bumper Cave's ledge, but so that could be required for that, or that could just be something logically required for, say, the Spike Room chest. Oh, hi, Quake Medallion. Now we have all the medallions.
Indeed we do. And then all of the arrows and 50 rupees, apparently. So, an okay-ish Paradox Cave in terms of like quality of life.
Yeah, it looked like Zeitnix was trying to set up a bomb jump there, but slipped off. Going for it again, though, undeterred, as Klariodon is doing some water checks.
Don't blame him for this play either. I mean, he's been staring at a really large rupee count for a while, so... Speaking of rupees, 20 on Floating Island, so we're not going to need to really worry about that. And we are going to get the Ether tablet check and probably a dip into Meyer from Zeitnix. Or did I just say Meyer Hera? I apologize.
Well, this is an entrance shuffle, but hey, it's been a long day, so who knows what'll happen.
Yep. Big 20 on the Ether tablet.
Well, unfortunate as that is, just got to keep going at this point. You still got checks in the mountain. You've got 2 items you can get out of Hera.
Small key in the basement here. Well, part of the basement at least.
And there's the bottle and the Master Sword for Klariodon, who's going to toss the bottle right in and get a...
And with all the deaths Klariodon has been taking, and execution-wise, that's got to be a sight for sore eyes.
I concur. However, heading into Ice Palace, I might consider a blue potion to be the better option. Because blue potions have kept me from dying to cold stare a couple times already this tournament.
Yep. Palette Shuffle is not kind to Zora's Domain.
This is actually my first time seeing Palette Shuffle in this in general, and this part of the game in particular. Holy smokes. This is like renting a video from the video store where someone decided to not be kind and not rewind.
So for the Gen Zers and Gen in the audience, Leslie is referring to what we used to call VHS tapes.
Yeah, that was quite the thing when I was growing up. And yes, there were a few who did not rewind, and that was not fun.
No.
As Zeitnix taking on Moldorm using hammer strats. I like this strategy because, yes, hammer has a funny hitbox, but it's a guaranteed 3-hit KO.
Yeah. Also, single arrow from Moldorm. Also, I would like to point out that Zeitnix has now done 2 out of the 3 pendants. He might be just banking on it being a pedestal seed.
We're a ways off from that being a possibility here, because for the last pendant, you need both rods, Cane of Samaria, and lamp. So at this point, the only things that can actually be on pedestal that are of any value are the bow and the boots. And the mirror. Those 3 are it.
Yeah. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that situation as it develops. And Klariodon now... now that he's caught up with the Zora checks, I believe Klariodon is doing the Death Mountain checks here as well.
The medallions certainly have their uses combat-wise, even if they're not necessary for the dungeons. Like, our runners are back into Skull Woods. They can use Ether to clear out Dibdos easily, and they won't burn up. Oh, well, now we have a lantern.
Which that opens up a few things. Getting Klariodon getting his cape. So, what is Zeitnix checking on Death Mountain? Because he's done Hera. He's done what he can with Spectacle Rock. At least I believe he has.
Spike Cave.
Spike Cave, yep.
This is Spike Cave for sure.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, my first tournament, I got burned on this location in a very close race that I wound up losing because I fell at Ganon. It was just part of the story, but one of the things I always remember now is to make sure that if you're in the area and you can do Spike Cave, do Spike Cave.
Zeitnix cutting it very, very close health-wise, but does get the cape donned, and, well, just gets 1 heart for his trouble from Spike Cave.
We got both items out of Hera. We don't have boots yet. I'm trying to think what lamp could be alluding to here. We have hookshot. Well, in our runner's case, the next play would definitely seem to be either entering Mire without Cane of Samaria or going into Ice. Although in Zeitnix's case, they'd have to go into Skull Woods to get the Titans mix.
The lamp does also open up a few more chests in Palace of Darkness, which is, I believe, yeah, definitely is what Zeitnix is checking. Gonna go ahead and dip into Palace of Darkness for the item density and see if something shakes loose from there. Meanwhile, Klariodon reclimbing light side Death Mountain. I believe gonna just go to Turtle Rock and open it up. Or just completely prove me wrong and go check Ether and Hera. Sure. That works too. And we'll see what happens here. That's a small key, so we are not bow locked in Palace of Darkness. Tracker rightfully pointing out why not both. This stream is not sponsored by Old El Paso. Alright, so Zeitnix continuing the journey into Klariodon doing Hera basement. Interesting.
Must need a break from all the struggles of the early seed.
And that's the mirror in Palace of Darkness basement there.
Wow. This just made things really interesting because now, for Zeitnix, Swamp Palace becomes a play, as does all the mirror checks in the game.
Oh boy. Zeitnix taking a minute to think over his options here.
Now, one that could happen is he does it for the Skull Woods, gets what he gets, and then just intentionally mirrors to check the pedestal, which is one option.
Yeah, and given what he's done so far,
or he's just gonna head that way right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, it looks like he's just gonna eschew doing Skull Woods and using the mirror and just check the pedestal right now. Because this makes sense because he's like I mentioned, he's done 2 out of 3. Unfortunately, he now knows that most of those efforts were for naught, as it's just pocket change, move right along. So the pedestal is pedestal.
Yep, no ped today.
And speaking of things being dead, there went most, if not all, of Zeitnix's bombs, thanks to the thief.
Yeah,
Luckily, he
there's
does not have.
forest thieves. They're kind of obnoxious, like the Zelda 1 door repair / mugger rooms.
Zeitnix choosing not to do Skull Woods yet, still.
Looks to be a bumper ledge check, possibly.
And, well, with Mir, he can check Graveyard Ledge and, no, he can't. No boots. Never mind. I apologize.
Just blueberries growing there.
Hey, I didn't say anything about Lady Box Thieves. I just was talking about the Forest Thieves, and so was my co-commentator. All right, so Klariodon now going to take on Moldorm. And take a fall, so Moldorm ties the series up at 1 apiece. Moldorm 1, Runners 1.
What I was going to say before that happened is it looked like Klariodon was going for spin strats, which does the same amount of damage as the hammer, assuming you don't get the poke. If you get the poke, you get the one hit instead of two, and that's a piece of heart on the graveyard ledge, which Zeitnix is not interested in, but Klariodon has taken Moldorm down.
All right. So, a fairly interesting seed layout here, in that we are currently just about 54.5 minutes in, and we cannot... well, Klariodon could technically logically complete Ice Palace. And Zeitnix could complete Skull Woods. But yeah, we have not seen a single crystal completion at almost 55 minutes into the seed. So, things are just kind of spread all across Hyrule in this particular seed.
Well, we're about to get a new check in Catfish on Zeitnix's side.
So right now, the main thing seems to be Zeitnix needs to go get his Titans from Skull Woods, and Klariodon needs to get the mirror from Palace of Darkness.
And what's Catfish got?
That is
a rupee horde, but Zeitnix is not interested. Me, I would have probably taken that just for extra potion money, or if this were retro mode, which is not a thing in this tournament, that would have been money.
Also, it's just like a catfish to try and lure you in with money.
Through that, and it looks like Zeitnix is going to be our first runner to go into Swamp Palace, which is going to have 6 items total. Question is, will we get a nice Swamp Palace where there's nothing on left side, or are we going to get the old it's not left side swamp until it is left side swamp deal? But this also routes nicely into Bombo's tablet.
Indeed. Now, Klariodon, stream, please. Thank you. Do you think Klariodon is heading back to try and finish off Thieves Town here?
Not necessarily. This could be a Hammerpeg's purple chest play, which is much easier with the mirror. Oh, wait, didn't go into pod. Yep, this is a return.
Yep. Unfortunately, not a whole lot in here that's going to be of assistance. So this is going to be a bit of a time sink for Klariodon. But he is much better equipped to hopefully not die here, so... In fact, he can still even take a death because he does have that fairy. First chest behind the bombable wall and swamp with just the single rupee.
One of 2 single rupees that are in the item pool.
All right. Oop. Okay. Klariodon taking some anguish out on the annoying little green bug enemies in Thieves Town. Can't say I blame him. These things are the bane of my existence.
So Klariodon got the floor that time.
Gonna be continuing down to take out, presumably take out Blind and earn that green pendant. Again, unfortunately for him, as we know, not really anything of note in the remainder of Thieves Town or on the green pendant. Because I believe Zeitnix did go ahead and turn in the green pendant while he was doing Desert.
Yeah, green pendant was like 50 rupees. Not worth it. Now, just don't flood the key.
Oh, okay. I was like, he is about to do the thing. All right, so there's the key, and now he's gonna be heading back up to flip that switch again.
So Zeitnix appears to not be taking a chance on missing left side swamp. Can't say I blame them.
Yeah, especially because the compass chest happened to be vanilla compass. Dante, to answer your question, you read the title. Okay, never mind. But I'll go ahead and say it out loud. This is game 1 of the elimination round match for these runners' particular group. So it is just a no frills open mode 7-7 defeat Ganon. For those not familiar with how the Challenge Cup works, it's basically just like the main tournament on the Speed Gaming family of networks, which we are not affiliated with. The Challenge Cup is run by the amazingly dedicated community, completely volunteer. The loser of this match will be able to determine one variable to flip. The variables you can flip are item randomization, boots in left side swamp. Oh no. Oh
my!
No. And there's Fire Rod.
Oh my goodness!
Oh no!
It really, really was left side swamp today. West swamp was absolutely loaded with the goods, and that Fire Rod could ignite this seed and send Zeitnix off to Skullwoods, which would get them Titans mitts. Yeah, this seed might just be about to be cleared for takeoff.
Yeah. Good gracious. Anyway, to complete the thought there, before Left Side Swamp decided to make its presence very, very well felt, the loser of this match will be able to choose one variable to change. The variables that can be changed are it can be changed from an open mode race to a standard race where you have to complete escape before anything else. It can be turned into a 6/6 seed, which is you open Ganon's tower and defeat Ganon once 6 crystals are completed and not 7, which kind of provides some flexibility. You can choose to shuffle maps and compasses into the item pool, which is kind of like a Key Sanity Light. I actually kind of like that option sometimes. You can make it Fast Ganon Seed, which there is the bow in Swamp.
What
So
in
Swamp
the world?
Swamp was the play. Hello, good gracious.
Good lord, and to think I was thinking Ice Palace earlier, that was clearly big.
Also, Purple Chest getting taken for a little bit of a ride there because Klariodon took it all the way back up to Bumper Cave. Anyway, the Key Sanity Light, and then you can also switch
Standard's an option.
Yep, and then randomized swords to assured sword, I believe, is the last modifier. If I missed one, I'm sure chat will correct me, but I think we got all of them. Honestly, I lost a little bit of my train of thought because Swamp decided to make its presence felt in this seed. Meanwhile, Gary just giving us 20 rupees for bringing him his lunchbox back from the rift across the worlds here.
Well, if anything, that makes Palace of Darkness a hard required double dip for this seed. Now, while there aren't nearly as many double dips in this version of the logic compared to certain earlier versions of the logic, which seem to have two, sometimes 3 or 4 double dips in a seed. Nowadays, we really only see like the one hard required double dip, maybe 2.
All right, we're gonna see a mushroom turn in from Klariodon here. I don't believe. Nope, Zeitnix did do this, and it wasn't anything important.
And Zeitnix is not going for Bombo's tablet. Interesting.
Well, to be fair, Zeitnix just received the keys to 2 different crystal dungeons.
3.
One of which is. And one of those crystal dungeons they just received the keys to is going to give him the keys to the 3rd one. So.
Right now, the hunt is on for the Cane of Samaria for Zeitnix, because as soon as that's found, it's gonna be go mode.
Could we see back-to-back races where the Cane of Samaria is in Misery Mire?
Well, we know exactly where it cannot be, and that's Turtle Rock. Because you need that to get in, and well, to hover that dungeon, I think not, as now Klariodon gets their shovel.
Titan's mitts were in Skull Woods. I can English. Don't mind me. I've been on I did commentary on the first race, then raced my race, and now I'm doing commentary back to back to back. So, not the smartest thing I've ever done, but I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, that's all that counts, is enjoying yourself at the end of the day. Besides, dumber mistakes have been made.
All right. So while we're seeing some kind of duplicated checks here, this is the Link to the Past randomized challenge cup. This is an elimination round matchup between Zeitnix and Klariodon. This is the first game in a best of 3 series. The winner will go on to fight for their tournament life in the tiebreaker round of the group stage, and the loser will be done. Bear with us. We're going to even out the times quick. I appreciate the shout out, Oro. I thank you. Um, so speaking of following people, don't forget to follow our runners first of all, because there's nothing to commentate on without our runners. Give our commentators and our trackers and our restreamer a follow as well. There's also, since we are on the Go Mode podcast Discord, or I got that backwards. We're restreaming on the Go Mode podcast Twitch. Don't forget to go to the Go Mode podcast Discord and check out the Go Mode podcast itself. Now that I'm done with all my shilling,
Now it's time to get to some moth killing.
Nice. Well done.
Now this is a boss that is a headache for many a runner of this rando and the NMG game, because anytime Mothula gets hit into the spikes, that damage gets nullified. Zeitnix has taken Mothula out and claimed the crystal.
Indeed. And, you know, the whole thing about getting hit into spikes nullifying the damage is because Link to the Past is a very, very well-coded game. Alright, so Zeitnix went straight for Mothula. We'll see if Zeitnix, well, it's not an if. It would be kind of a galaxy brain play to skip getting items from Skull Woods at this point.
Yeah, in older versions of the logic, it was basically a 50-50 chance as to whether you even had progression in Skull Woods, Pendant, or Crystal. That's certainly not the case now, but this Skull Woods, as Zeitnix is going to find out, is going to have something of major importance. And while that's not what I had in mind, that heart container should help just a little bit. Unfortunately, that mirror sent them back a bit further than they would have wanted.
Yeah, that's always not a good feeling when you have a lapse in judgment like that and you go back a little bit further than you really wanted to go. But you just kind of gotta dust it off. You can't really think about it and keep moving. Klariodon now making the play into Palace of Darkness, so Klariodon will be shortly receiving their mirror as Zeitnix gets his Titan's mitts.
So now this is where things get interesting. Does Zeitnix go for the Meyer gamble? Gambling on the Cane being there. Do they go to wrap up Pod and Eastern back to back? Because that mirror is going to be super helpful in saving time. Unfortunately for Klariodon, getting hit with the Kiki Kiki trailing you, and will cause the monkey to retreat. You have to go back and get him, and that costs an additional 10 rupees.
Yep. That's also never a good feeling, to have Kiki get hit. Alright, now we're going to see the King's Tomb check from Zeitnix. The other thing we need to mention is Swamp may not... There's Tempered Sword in King's Tomb. So that's the thing.
That's a plus, because that really helps with a lot of the bosses. Like, looking at this tracker, you still have Cold Stare and Vitreous on the tracker as needing to be beaten. Tempered Sword really helps with both of those fights.
Klariodon and Kiki. Sounds legit. Let's do it. Good call, chat. So Klariodon is gonna have a wide amount of options that are not necessarily going to Swamp, which we know is the play. But Klariodon can go to Ice Palace, can go do all of the mirror checks, can do a lot of things before Swamp may become a thought. But we'll see what happens as Klariodon about to receive the mirror.
So the question is, what play is first for Klariodon? No, not go
Almost a
deeper.
high five.
Well,
Because
here's another
Zeitnix is
interesting
currently...
thing as I learned from my last commentary, is that it is possible to save a portal when going into when you go into a regular Dark World portal. However, for Swamp Palace, that doesn't become a possibility because you have to use Mirror to be able to drain the water in order to get in. So that does not become an option as a result.
Right. Alright, so Zeitnix clearing out the rest of Palace of Darkness here. And I would assume the immediate play will also be to pick up the other crystal from Armos Knights in Eastern Palace.
Yeah,
Near afterwards.
yeah, it's excellent routing to be able to do this because this is routing that will save you significant time if you're able to do this in a sieve. I mean, it's not something
Klariodon needs to be careful.
that's an understatement.
Yeah. One heart making their way up to Catfish check. And just about anything they run into here will be lethal.
That's bottle 3 for Zeitnix, as that is green potion.
Klariodon about to get catfished here.
Takes the money, though.
Yeah. I don't blame him. He's probably thinking, I need a bunch of potions. He's also probably thinking, okay, there goes my fairy, because that's exactly what's happening. So that would be why he wasn't being too particularly cautious. Zeitnix never found the big key, apparently.
Interesting. I'm not even trying to
I'm
think
trying
of
to...
vanilla,
Yeah, same
maybe?
here.
Or is it... No, it can't be Harmless Heckway. Or can it? Well, we're about to find out, I think.
Tracker is saying vanilla. Oh, yeah, he hasn't checked this yet, so probably Harmless Hellway. Yep.
Yep, that it was.
Alright. So Klariodon is hanging out in the north side of Dark World. I think we're about to see Graveyard and King's Tomb from them.
Not so fast. They haven't gone to Swamp yet.
Oh yeah, they need the boost. That's right. All right. Zeitnix now going to be making their way down into the basement of, into the depths of Palace of Darkness to take on Helmisar King. And Klariodon heading to the portal here.
This is a swamp play. It's going to be the best. Well, he doesn't know it yet, but it's going to be the absolute best play for him, provided he doesn't do a left side gamble. Because a left side gamble here, unfortunately, it wouldn't just not work out. It really wouldn't work out.
Yeah. Because the bow was not on left side of swamp, and the bow opens up full Palace of Darkness. So it would be a while before Klariodon came back to left side of swamp if he tries to gamble on nothing being there. So the next couple of decisions Klariodon makes are going to make or break the rest of this race.
Unfortunately for Zeitnix, the turtle party broke out, so we had to break it up.
Yep. This. I gotta say, I am not a fan of palette shuffling. Honestly, I haven't seen one yet that I actually liked.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Meanwhile,
too much of it. It's not something that I utilize myself because I'm more of a, okay, let's just play the game. Don't need to shuffle
so
palettes or anything like that. Let's just have at it, game.
all right, Zeitnix 17 belongs to the mask, 2 spins and 1 poke, and that's gonna take care of Helmasar King. It says here, have the map of my dungeon.
Oh, to be fair, maybe the Helmasaur King needed that map so that it didn't get lost. Because even monsters of that size can be terrible at directions.
True. All right, so as predicted, again, kind of obvious play here. Zeitnix immediately mirroring and going into Eastern Palace to collect the 5/6 crystal, one of the 5/6 crystals from Armos Knight. And honestly, if I were Zeitnix, I would think about doing Desert next to get 5/6 bomb.
Yeah, I agree. And I was just thinking, the hook shot was here, so in a very strange roundabout way, Pod and Eastern both required a double dip. In terms of double dip pairings, that's actually one of the better ones, just because that they have the mirror, they can go back and finish both.
Klariodon opting to go into the back of Swamp first.
Uh-oh, that could be. Let's hope they go right back in after Argus. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, but the thing is, we know that there are 2 items in the left side of Swamp. So, working backwards from that, Klariodon should be able to tell that there are a significant amount of items left in the left side of Swamp and go back in. Now, yes, Klariodon is going to receive their bow, but Klariodon is also going to be aware that there are 2 items left in this dungeon, at least. So, if I'm in his situation, I go back in immediately
Yeah, that's what
because
I
I
would
know
do too.
I know left side Swamp has 2 items, or I know the dungeon in general has 2 items, and it's not that far of trek back to go to get the big chest. So, because I honestly almost kind of consider the big chest part of left side Swamp. So that's just kind of my kind of odd little quirk of thinking about it. While we were chatting about that Zeitnix just obliterated Armos Knights and is now going to go to Meyer area and check Meyer's shed.
Believe this is their first trip here.
It is. We did see the Meyer shed earlier, but that is all we saw.
Now, it's worth noting for Argus is that it looks like it moves at a constant rate regardless of where it is on the map, but that's not true. If you get the boss towards the bottom of the screen up against the wall, it's not going to move very fast at all. And that can really come in handy for getting rid of the puffs that orbit it.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. Klariodon really needs to be careful here. 4 hearts left. Looks like
Yeah.
he has it under control, though.
Yep, he basically was not having any of Argus's jumping motions.
Yeah.
Moment of
So,
truth here for Klariodon.
I didn't pay attention to every single item in Swamp, but I believe that now means there are 3 items left in Swamp. All 3 chests that Klariodon has not checked have an item in them. So if Klariodon does not immediately go back into Swamp here, he is making a huge mistake. Thankfully, he does not make that mistake. He is going directly back into Swamp. And we're going to be right back on parity track. Well, I wouldn't quite say that because Zeitnix is currently 2 dungeons ahead. About to be 3 because he is going to more than likely complete Eastern here.
You mean desert, but I get where you're
Desert.
coming from here.
No, he's going to go back in time and he's going to do Eastern over again.
Ocarina of Time called. Or was it Majora's Mask? It was one of those. Anyway.
Technically both, because Ocarina had the young Link, adult Link switching things, so... Alright, Zeitnix getting his big key the legitimate way.
Except he hit the mirror a little too soon, it would appear.
Yep.
I'm sure somebody out there's done that at least once, where they.
Yep.
And here's the thing, that wasn't even crowd control.
Yeah. That's just bruised ego right there. That's just a bruised ego, some wounded pride.
That could happen to anybody.
Yep. Klariodon quietly making their way in to the left side of Swamp. Gonna be receiving the good news with the boots and the fire rod shortly. Zeitnix, meanwhile, gonna get the booby prize of the big 20 in the big chest here. And right now, I feel fairly comfortable in saying this is Zeitnix's race to lose. Because he's going to have, he is now going to have Eastern, Palace of Darkness, and Desert on Klariodon. So unless Zeitnix are the last locations, the Cane of Samaria, Klariodon's got a lot of ground to make up. Is Klariodon grabbing the bombs? Did Klariodon not see this?
No, he didn't. So that was a blind check for him. Actually, I think I know what Klariodon might be thinking here. No, this is going for an upgrade. Arrows? Nope, going for bomb upgrade. I'm surprised by that, because version 30 of the logic took the arrow upgrades and bomb upgrades and put them back in their vanilla location, but instead of having to do that whole rupee tossing sequence, just leaves the sprites are there for the taking if you have the 100 rupees, and there's our 10 bomb.
Klariodon being the first of our runners to go to Ice Palace.
We've known that between the two runners that this was in logic much earlier, so it is possible that Cane of Samaria is here.
Yes, it is indeed possible. Some would even say plausible. That's the other single
Yep,
green rupee, though.
that it is.
Yeah.
Also, a combat tip that you can utilize on your own time with the medallions does involve the pin gators that are in this dungeon, and it does help if you don't have tempered sword at the minimum. Is that you use the Quake medallion in on any screen with pen gators, as long as they're not jumping in the air, then you are able to use that to take them out in one shot.
So we're going to be seeing a little bit of sync here, as both runners are now going to be in Ice Palace. Nice clean clear of that room by Klariodon. Effective use of the hook shot. And we are going to see the Ice Palace bomb jump. One of the easier little tricks to learn, and also one of the more rewarding, I feel.
It certainly is rewarding, no doubt about that, because first try. Because compared to, say, taking multiple attempts at it, if you get Ice Palace Bomb Jump first try, you're saving. Let's look at it from the NMG standpoint. You're saving several minutes on the NMG route. In the rando route, you make things easier in the event that you actually need the Cane of Samaria to get to Cold Stare, because now you don't have to worry about that particular detail. If you're in go mode, and that's great, that just sends you right on your way to the boss very quickly.
Zeitnix having a little bit of trouble with the bomb jump there. Did take 2 attempts to do so. Until that point, he was actually closing a pretty good amount of distance between himself and Klariodon. But the bomb jump slight mishap lets Klariodon re-extend the lead a little bit.
Well, second try Ice Palace Bomb Jump's not a bad thing ever, because
no, not
the
at all.
window's tight, and sometimes even those of us who are good at execution miss that. So first try a second try rather is not a concern.
No, not at all. Alright, Klariodon. We have not really found anything of note in Ice Palace yet. There's the big key. In fact, I don't even think we've... I think the only thing we've spotted so far was the other green rupee, wasn't it?
Yep, so there's still 2 items at large and 3 checks to make. Second
and it's going to be the big
room.
chest and cold stare.
Yep. Freezer 2, Ice Tea, Big Chest, Cold Stare. So it's actually 4 checks. So, yeah, just don't be like me and leave something important in Ice Tea like I did one race. That was... I was not happy about that.
Klariodon feels like he's taking a bit of a weird route here. Oh, has not checked the IC room yet. 10 arrows.
So that's 2 down.
Compass,
and it was a Compass and Freezer 2.
Okay, so we've got basically big key, big chest, and cold stare left.
Klariodon has yet to check this, but will be relieved to see that it's just the compass. Nice bomb jump to get over that gap. That is one I have not learned.
Same. Honestly, Ice Palace bomb jump is about the only one I can pull off relatively consistently. I keep telling myself I'm going to learn the others, but never really seem to sit down and do it. Looks like our last item today is going to be on Cold Stare itself. Klariodon about to head on down there.
Now, this is where things get interesting, because for Klariodon, it's a Master Sword fight. For Zeitnix, it's a Tempered Sword fight. However, both runners have both the Fire Rod and Bombos.
And have
Bombos
magic.
is great for... Yeah, that too. Bombos, great for Phase 1, because you just take that shell right off.
Chat pointing out that the second bomb jump, the one we were just talking about, is actually one of the easiest one in the game. And I also just realized I also do the bomb jump to get to the big chest of Goldwoods. Last item is going to be the Cane of Samaria!
Oh my goodness, that's no mode to go mode in seconds. Ice Palace having the goods that our runners need, and that is a simultaneous go mode for both. However, Zeitnix in the driver's seat at this moment, having only Misery Mire left to go. Klariodon has to go Eastern Desert, Odd, Swamp, and Mire.
Yeah, this is Zeitnix's race to lose at this point.
Without a doubt, is both of our runners converging on Mire.
All right. So we're gonna see if how our runner's execution differs through Mire, at least. So that'll be interesting to see. But again, unfortunately, unless Zeitnix just gets the rando equivalent of getting hit by a meteor, we're kind of playing out the string here. Chat was calling for the bird toss, did not receive it.
Well, it is fun to eat frozen bird, but sometimes it's best to just leave it there as an offering.
Right. Looks like Zeitnix had a slightly better go at the first room, so he's taking a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, Mire 2 is definitely an execution central for this dungeon, as Zeitnix and both our runners rather getting a heart container to start.
Right. Small key.
And I just picked up what our stun prize is off of Klariodon's side. It is a recovery heart. While not, it's not that great in most situations. In a pinch, it's not bad.
No, not at all. In fact, that happened to be the stun prize in my race, and it definitely bolstered me one or two times.
So Zeitnix is gambling on it not being firelocked. Klariodon going for firelocked.
There's bombs. So I believe that's gonna mean that it's in the cutscene chest, because I believe we've seen just about everything else.
No, there's one other chest, one room west of the big chest.
Oh yeah, that's right. But that does not matter. Both of our runners are going to go ahead, bite the bullet, and do the cutscene chest here.
Can't say I blame them, because in this situation, the cutscene chest is the way to go. If you've already done one firelock chest, you might as well do the second one.
right. And in the cutscene chest, we have the map. Oof.
Oof, that's not a fun place for that to be.
Nope.
Because you basically have to use a small key just to get there unless you're coming from the north with the switch hit.
Yeah, just let that one go, Klariodon. There's one en route to the big key. That's a lot easier to get to. In fact, there are two that are a lot easier to get to between here and the big key. Because there is that that bubble beam that you can powder as well.
Well, in this instance, Bubble Beam was not very effective.
Oh boy. All right, there is our there is our big key. So Zeitnix gonna go ahead and take on take the climb down to Vitreous. Not too far behind is going to be Klariodon, at least in terms of Misery Mire. Klariodon's a little bit further behind overall, unfortunately. Putting off Swamp as long as he did proved to be his undoing.
Now, a lot of runners ideally want to try and save Swamp Palace for last if they can help it, so they can go mode it. However, the way this seed laid out, that was never an option.
No. Oh, didn't quite get the... having some trouble getting that block place down is Klariodon. Yep, just decides to just blow it up and start over.
However, we just witnessed the spooky action glitch 3 times on Zeitnix's side.
Yep. As pointed out by our restreamer, Boots and Fire Rod were on the left side of Swamp, and then our bow was on the way back towards Argus. So
Waterfall
Swamp,
chest.
Waterfall chest, thank you. Zeitnix making quick work of the mini viddies with Tempered Sword. And then just gonna stuff the big guy full of regular old arrows. Receive a small key for his trouble and his last crystal. So we are now heading towards Ganon's Tower. So you know what that means.
Yep, you 1 through 22, 22 checks in GT, so get your guesses in chat.
I'm gonna go ahead and say use my MIDI. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and do my normal guess. 3 torch room.
I have seen a torch room recently. Was Klariodon opting for arrow strats to clear away some of these eyeballs?
Well, remember, Klariodon has not gone to King's Tomb yet to get their Tempered Sword, so might have felt like a better option. And hey, stop me if you've heard this one before. Klariodon needs to be very, very careful.
Oh my!
That is the opposite of careful.
Yeah, that lightning generates via pure RNG. You could be standing what you think's the right spot and get fried anyway.
Alrighty.
That's one thing about this boss. If this boss wants you dead, there's not much you can do.
Klariodon doing me a scare, indeed. Oh, okay. Cane of Burna coming out now for Klariodon.
Okay, oh my goodness, that was dangerous.
Oh, man.
That is playing with a lot. That is extremely gutsy to stand right where he stood. Oh my goodness. I thought he was
good gracious.
Sure.
All right, I'll be posting in chat that bets are off here when Zeitnix enters Ganon's Tower.
Someone clip that because that sent some heart rates up in the room. Holy smokes.
One member of chat gasped so loud that their cat thought I was hissing at her. Wow. Okay. Chest number 1 is the big key.
Are you kidding? In the
And there's the silvers
too? What? This is nuts.
So our re-streamer gets the win with the 1 guess.
Wow.
Amaranth Alterna, you have won a lifetime supply of Link to the Past randomizer seeds, redeemable by going to alt2pr.com. Please consult a wiki tutorial if your standard seed lasts longer than 4 hours. And the rich get richer here. Zeitnix already with a huge commanding lead. Gets the godlike Ganon's Tower with the big key in the first chest, silvers in the second chest. Good gracious. Blastic pointing out fortuitous grabbing the small key for Blastic for Zeitnix, but honestly, I hate to sound like dismissive here. If you are playing in a tournament, you're probably going to be more than aware of the situation in regards to needing at least one small key to go up Ganon's Tower. I would certainly hope so, at least. Granted, stranger things have happened. Umaga with the requisite clip of of Klariodon riding the lightning there, as the clip is titled. Well put. Zeitnix making pretty quick, if maybe a little bit sloppy work of the gauntlet. Should probably think about equipping the powder and powdering the bubble beam in the next room here. Does not, maybe does do so. Never mind.
So we've got 2 land mola fights going on right now. One in desert on Klariodon's side, and Zeitnix and GT. Zeitnix wraps up first.
Indeed. Klariodon getting one last spin in on the exploding land molus, just for style points, I guess. Zeitnix with the 1 cycle of the Wizrobe room. And the 1 cycle of that room. Nicely done. All right. Fire rod strats for the torch puzzle here. Well played. Gonna go ahead and grab the magic refill and give time for the sprite despawn to not happen. Whoop. Had to take 1 more shot than necessary, but oh well. Grabs the second small key from the mini Helmasaur and continues the inexorable march towards victory here.
Klariodon marching towards pod to take care of business. The big difference here is that this is a go mode pod where you just find the big key and go right to Helmasaur.
Alright. Zeitnix 1 spin and a poke.
1 spin, 1 strike. That's all it takes.
And down goes Moldorm. We are not going to raid the validation chest today. We are, however, going to bonk into the doorway. And all right. It's time for Geometry Wars. On Zeitnix's side. There's a 1 that maybe possibly could have been a double, but rather rough
Speaking
pattern.
of doubles, there's one right there.
And this could be another free double. Nope. The real Aghanim decided to throw blue balls. So 1-2-1 so far.
1-2, 1-2.
Yep. This isn't speed gaming, I forgot. Chat is valid though. Well said, Professor Ritter. Well said.
Indeed.
All right.
And now we are coming up as Klariodon going through pod looking for the big key. Zeitnix is down the hole. Yes, he.
So, I love how we got the bacon factoid when I was about to ask a very important question. Are you aching for some bacon, chat? Using the hookshot strats here instead of the cape with half magic. I am not very good at hookshot strats to avoid the fire bats here, so I always want to have the cape or Cane of Burna here. I mean, all right. So Zeitnix cleaning up rather easily, moving on to phase 3. I just realized I don't have the SRL room up, so I'm not going to be able to grab the official SRL time. Whoops.
Don't worry, I got...
Okay, cool. I knew I was forgetting something. Oh no, Silver, his one true weakness. That was a single. Nice grab on the torch glitch. And a double. So Zeitnix is about to end this very quickly. Yep. So Zeitnix is just going to have to finish up, avoid falling off the most dangerous 1x3 bridge in all of Hyrule. But get those GGs out in chat for Zeitnix.
And scene with that, Zeitnix has taken game 1 with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, 27 seconds. This seed picked up really quick as soon as we get all the stuff.
All right, so it looks like, judging by the fact that Klariodon is no longer moving, that Klariodon has indeed decided to forfeit as soon as the dot done was brought down.
Yep,
by Zeitnix.
Can confirm. He has decided to call it a night. I can't blame him. This seed was a bit of a rough one, bit of a slow-moving seed, but once it got moving, it really got moving.
And both runners have declined to interview for this race, citing the need to go get some sleep, which is understandable. It is 11:20 p.m. in the official time zone of the Challenge Cup, Eastern Time, in the United States. And it has been a rather long day of action here on Go Mode Podcast, on the Go Mode Podcast Twitch. Please, as Lumaga just linked in chat, give our runners a follow. If you like our commentary, feel free to give us a follow. Give our tracker a follow, and give our tracker a follow. Give our restreamer a follow. Honestly, just follow a whole bunch of people.
Also, looking over what we have for tomorrow is action starts at 1 o'clock between Elimination Round Game 2 from Group Z, as it's Jack Attack 1100 versus Crimson Avix. And then 45 minutes later, the winners final from set game group, also a game 2 between Spam Musubi and Angel HZ without the E. Then starting at 2 o'clock is an elimination round match between Darklink BJ and Ridley Dragon, along with a tiebreak between Ms. Metroid and Udai. I can't even pronounce that.
Oidaimonic, I think.
Yeah,
I butchered
something
that.
like
Yeah.
that. We both butchered that. And then at 4 o'clock, a game 2 elimination match between Alex Haas and Spash Kairos. And that's what we have on the docket for Challenge Cup tomorrow, but more matches could be added, so stay tuned.
Yep. There have been a lot of restreams, both here on Go Mode Podcast's Twitch, and I know Zelda Speedruns has been doing a lot of restreaming. So stay tuned to both of those networks for more Challenge Cup action. Of course, Speed Gaming has the main tournament going on right now as well. There is a lot of randomizer action. All you have to do is go out there and find it. So honestly, I think all that really needs to be said about this seed has been said. So we're going to go ahead, let the credits roll here for Zeitnix. Or not, apparently. All right. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. And and just, hey, have fun playing Rando, all right? Good night, everybody.
Yep, take care, guys. We'll catch you next time. Have a good night.